took my chance and slept with a celebrity for fame while he kept calling me when I got home. Look before you leap, my parents always said. Not all that glitters is gold, too, they said. But all I wish for right now is that I listened to them. I wish I had taken those little nuggets of wisdom they used to give me. And I wish I had thought about them before making the stupid decision that I made. Because here I am right now, in this empty house, and I miss my husband so much. I genuinely do not know how to make us get past this. I know what I did was wrong, but I was just so blindsided that I didn't even know what I was doing. You probably don't understand what I'm saying or why I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'm just so scared at the fact that I might lose my marriage that I'm rambling. The short story is I cheated, but I'm sure you're not here for the short story. You're here for the long version, and the long version you shall get. Now, before we dive in completely, I think a little bit of backstory is needed. My name is Abigail, and I'm a 32-year-old woman. I've been married to my husband Martin for about 5 years now. Martin is 33, by the way, and we live in the United States. Martin and I met in high school, and we were the typical duo you would read about in those Wattpad books, LOL. Martin was handsome, funny, smart, popular, and captain of the swim team, while I was a nerd, a bookworm. I was always holed up in some kind of book, and I wasn't the smart kind of bookworm either. Most of the books I read were either some kind of novel or just plain old smut. I genuinely found textbooks and schoolwork boring, and so despite all the reading it seemed like I was doing, I was a below-average student. Martin was a straight-A student, so yeah, the typical high school bullshit. We didn't mix because, well, nerds and the popular kids don't hang together. Well, until I was failing badly and Martin had to tutor me for cash, of course. That sparked our whole friendship, as corny as it may sound, lol. Well, that aside, I should mention I was always a greedy kid as a child. I always wanted more, always wanted everything. My parents, of course, tried to teach me right from wrong, but you see, when you're set in your ways, you're set in your ways, and nothing really changes you. I really don't want to go down the memory hole, so I'm going to keep most of everything short. I do still remember our first date like it was yesterday, even though it's been over a decade now. Our relationship moved fast after that first date. Before we knew it, we were officially a couple. Graduation day was a bittersweet moment for us. We were excited to move on to the next chapter of our lives, but also sad to leave behind the familiar halls of high school where everything had started for us. Martin and I decided to attend the same university, and we even roomed together in a cozy apartment near campus. I'm not even going to go into those years because they were a rush of studying, late-night talks, and discovering more about ourselves and each other. Of course, like any other couple, we had the occasional arguments and disagreements that come with any relationship, but they only made us stronger. After we graduated, things were going great for us. Martin landed an awesome job right off the bat. The pay was crazy good, but it also meant he was super busy all the time. Still, he always made an effort to spend time with me. Not long after, Martin popped the question, and of course I said yes. We dove into planning our wedding, and let me tell you, Martin went all out to make it special. It was a beautiful day, filled with love and laughter. Our honeymoon was like a dream. We soaked up every moment of it, cherished the time together. Coming back home, we got another amazing surprise, a house gifted to us by Martin's parents. It was unbelievable, and honestly, we were so grateful for their generosity because that was one less problem to worry about. As time went on, Martin's career soared to new heights. He landed a bigger promotion that came with more responsibilities and, unfortunately, even busier days. The job demanded his attention round the clock, and it started chipping away at his free time and leaving us with fewer moments together. At first, we tried to make the most of the little time we had. Weekends became sacred, reserved for us to reconnect and unwind from the hectic work week. But as Martin's workload increased, even weekends seemed to slip away, and all his time was consumed by work calls, meetings, and endless emails. I understood the importance of his job and supported him wholeheartedly, but I couldn't deny the impact it had on our relationship. There was also the fact that Martin paid the bills and I did nothing, so I always felt guilty that the only reason Martin was working this hard was to provide for us. As a result of that, I couldn't really complain. Either way, back to the story, like I said, the late nights at the office, canceled plans, and missed moments started to take a toll on both of us. Martin would come home exhausted, barely able to keep his eyes open, and I would long for the days when we could simply enjoy each other's company without the shadow of work looming over us. Being a stay-at-home wife had its quiet moments, but as Martin's job got crazier, the loneliness started to seep in deeper. Our home felt emptier, and I missed the little things like sharing meals and chatting about our day. I'd find myself longing for Martin's company, especially in the evenings when the house felt too quiet. Nights became particularly tough, with the absence of his comforting presence beside me in bed. What made it even harder was the fact that I had little to no friends of my own. Martin had always been the popular one, not me. While he had a bustling social circle from work and college, I struggled to find my place outside of our relationship. I tried to keep myself busy during the day, but the loneliness lingered, a constant reminder of how much I missed him. It was hard not to feel a bit disconnected, yearning for the closeness we used to have. I understood that his job was demanding, but it didn't make the loneliness any easier to bear. I just wished for more moments together, where work didn't steal all our time and attention. Feeling the need for more social interaction and independence, I decided to get a job. It wasn't easy given my limited work experience in the competitive job market, but I landed a position after a few months of searching. At first, the job brought a sense of purpose and excitement. I enjoyed the rapport with coworkers and the feeling of contributing to something outside of our home. However, as the days went by, I realized that the job came with its own set of annoying difficulties. The long hours and demanding workload left me drained and exhausted, and it left me with little time or energy for quality moments with Martin. I found myself missing the freedom and flexibility that being a stay-at-home wife offered. After a few months of juggling work and home responsibilities, I made the difficult decision to quit my job. It wasn't an easy choice, but I realized that my happiness and well-being were more important than any job title or paycheck. Returning to being a stay-at-home wife brought back a sense of peace and contentment. I loved the freedom and peace. I could have all the time in the world to practice my hobbies without bothering about work. As I settled into the rhythm of being at home, a thought started poking at me. I began to wonder what it would be like to be a celebrity, to have all that attention and excitement. The idea of fame and recognition intrigued me more and more. I imagined walking red carpets, being interviewed, and having a huge following hanging on my every word. So I decided to try my hand at being a content creator and started a YouTube channel. It seemed like a fun way to share my interests and maybe get a taste of that fame I wondered about. I put effort into making videos, from cooking tips to daily life stuff. But as time went on, I realized that growing a successful channel takes serious dedication and a real passion for what you're doing. Balancing the demands of making videos with everything else in my life, like supporting Martin and taking care of our home, became too much. I enjoyed the creative side, but I didn't have the drive needed to keep it going. After a few tries, I had to admit that YouTube wasn't for me. It was a bit disappointing. I wanted the short way up, the instant catapult to fame, not spending years building a following. As days passed in the same old routine, I couldn't shake off the feeling of boredom and loneliness that had settled in. It was during one of those moments when Martin and I finally sat down to have a heart-to-heart chat. I poured out my feelings to him, telling him how his busy schedule had made me feel disconnected and craving for more excitement in our lives. To my surprise, Martin listened carefully and apologized sincerely, acknowledging the impact his work had on us. To make things right and add some fun to our lives, Martin promised to plan something special for the upcoming weekend. I was touched by his gesture and eagerly looked forward to the surprise he had in store. When the weekend rolled around, Martin took me out on a lovely date night, starting with dinner at our favorite spot and a leisurely stroll afterward. Just when I thought the evening couldn't get any better, Martin handed me an envelope with VIP tour tickets inside. My heart raced with excitement as I realized what it meant. I was going to see my favorite musician perform live. This was a dream come true for me, as I had always wished to attend one of his concerts but never had the chance. I'm not going to mention the name of the celebrity for the sake of privacy, and also because everything that has happened is my fault. The VIP tickets meant that I would not only get to enjoy the concert up close, but also have the chance to meet him backstage. I was over the moon. I felt like a giddy teenager again, imagining the possibility of getting a hug, a photo, or even an autograph from my idol. If I could go back in time, honestly, I would have torn those tickets and thrown them away, or even sold them or something. I just would have never gone to that concert. The weekend we had been eagerly waiting for finally arrived, and we were all set to head to the concert venue for what promised to be an unforgettable experience. However, just as we were about to leave, Martin's phone rang with an urgent work call that demanded his immediate attention. He apologized profusely, genuinely disappointed that he couldn't make it, and promised to make it up to me, like he always did, promises after promises. In his earnest attempt to make amends, Martin suggested that I take his ticket and invite someone else to join me at the concert. But truth be told, I didn't have any close friends to share such an experience with. And if I'm being honest, a small part of me felt a sense of relief that Martin wouldn't be joining me. Don't get me wrong, I loved Martin deeply. However, there were moments when I craved the freedom and independence of being on my own again. His absence for the night gave me a taste of that feeling, allowing me to pretend, just for a while, that I was single and could have a carefree, fun night without any responsibilities or expectations. I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to justify my feelings or actions. I'm simply acknowledging the mix of emotions, loneliness, relief, and a hint of excitement that I experienced at that moment. I went all out for that concert, putting on my best makeup and opting for cute jeans so I could move freely and enjoy every moment. And let me tell you guys, I looked great. I looked stunning. And the energy at the concert was incredible. And I literally found myself getting lost in the music and the excitement of the crowd. When it was time to go backstage, I was nervous beyond words. This was someone I had dreamed about meeting for such a long time, and here I was, moments away from actually meeting them. I showed my VIP pass and then got led backstage. I could legit feel myself sweating buckets from the nerves. Meeting my idol was crazy. There were others there too, and all of us were a bit quiet and in awe, as if we couldn't believe that he was right in front of us. It's funny how we build up these images of celebrities in our minds, and when we finally meet them, it's like we forget they're just human beings too, with flesh and blood. It's just absolutely crazy. But he was really nice to me, and I think his kindness helped ease my initial awkwardness. Feeling a bit bolder, I decided to ask for a hug, and to my delight, he obliged. And let me tell y'all, he smelled amazing, like this mix of excitement and charm wrapped in a captivating scent. Even though he had just been on stage performing, he smelled amazing, like a comforting embrace that you never wanted to let go of. Our hug lasted for a few precious seconds, during which I couldn't help but feel a sense of safety and warmth enveloping me. As we embraced, however, I noticed that he slipped something into my pocket. It caught me off guard, but I didn't want to open it right then and there. My nerves were already on edge, and I didn't want the others to see what he had given me. I couldn't help but wonder if they had even noticed him slipping something into my pocket in the first place. Interestingly, my request for a hug seemed to give the others a boost of confidence, as they started requesting hugs and photos too. However, I couldn't help but notice that he didn't slip anything into anyone else's pocket. It made me feel incredibly special, as if our interaction had been more than just a fleeting moment among many others. After the meet and greet concluded, we were gently led out of the VIP room, back into the bustling energy of the concert venue. As we were leaving, though, he gave me a wink, which added a playful twist to the whole experience. Once we were outside the VIP area, I couldn't hold back my curiosity any longer. I quickly found a quiet spot, and the speed with which I tore out the piece of paper he had slipped into my pocket. My hands were literally shaking while I read it. I unfolded it to find the name of a hotel, a room number, and a phone number. It was pretty clear that he wanted me to come over, but I couldn't help but wonder why. Like I literally had 1,000,001 questions swimming around in my head. I recognized the hotel. It wasn't too far from where the concert was held. And still yet, a flood of questions raced through my mind. Did he plan this in advance, or was it a spontaneous decision? And more importantly, what did he want from me? Now I know this is the point where you're literally screaming, "No, just go the fuck home, Abigail." Heck, even my mind was screaming to me to just get the fuck out of there. But if I had listened to my mind, I wouldn't be here writing this story to y'all. I literally held that piece of paper with the hotel details in my hand and started thinking. A daring thought even crossed my mind. Could I use this encounter with the celebrity for my own gain? I couldn't help but draw similarities to how Kim Kardashian had skyrocketed to fame through a literal sex tape. The idea intrigued me, to be honest. What if I became the next Kim Kardashian? What if this celebrity was the ticket to fame that fate had prepared for me? What if by going home, I would miss my one chance to be famous? It seemed like a tantalizing opportunity. The idea of stepping into the spotlight, gaining recognition, and possibly transforming my life was incredibly tempting. I mulled over the decision for what seemed like ages, weighing the potential outcomes and wrestling with my conscience. But eventually I thought, well, screw it. The excitement of this one night with the celebrity, the chance to inject some excitement into my life, was too enticing to resist. I needed a break from boring old Martin. Funny enough, or should I say crazy enough, then I received a call from Martin. He was probably calling to check in on how the concert went, but yep, I ignored it without a second thought. By this time, my brain was on autopilot, and the one thought going through my head was, well, screw it. You only live once, and you only ever get one chance to meet a literal celebrity one-on-one with any other person's interference. I headed straight to the hotel, and I even bypassed the reception like I owned the place. At that moment, it felt like fate's plan unfolding before me. It was as if I could see my future unfold before me, as the next Kim Kardashian. Or what if this celebrity and I fell in love? Then I could divorce Martin and live a famous and financially free life. It sounds callous and wicked, I know, but back that night, I didn't even know what I was doing. It was as if I wasn't the one thinking. When I reached the hotel room and knocked, he opened the door with his characteristic charm. I stepped into that room, and right then and there I knew there was no turning back. And to be honest, I do regret it, but I would lie and say I didn't enjoy that night. He showed me the city, showing me sights and experiences I had never imagined. Surprisingly, our night together didn't start instantly with sex. Instead, he took me to a rooftop party filled with literal celebrities. It was a crazy experience. I should have seized the opportunity to network, but I couldn't shake off my feelings of inferiority. Here I was, surrounded by people who shaped the entertainment industry, while I felt like a boring housewife. I literally clung to his side, because I felt so shy and awkward in the presence of such influential figures. We spent about an hour at the party, surrounded by the glitz and glamour of the entertainment world, Omao. During this time, Martin's calls were blowing up my phone like crazy, probably out of concern. I had to mute my phone because I needed this one night for myself, to escape into a world where I could pretend to be a single woman again. I didn't disclose that I was married. When he asked if I was in a relationship, I simply said I wasn't, which technically wasn't a lie because I wasn't in a traditional relationship at that moment. I was married. Plus, I had even taken off my wedding ring before stepping out of the house. After the party, we headed out to grab some food. Over a meal, we had deep conversations about life, love, and everything in between. It was an enlightening experience hearing a celebrity speak so honestly and openly, especially since I tend to view them as untouchable people. To my surprise, he then suggested going on a bike ride, something I had always wanted to do but never got the chance because Martin thought bikes were too dangerous. It was exhilarating to finally live out that small dream of mine, thanks to this unexpected encounter with the celebrity. After returning to the hotel, we finally let ourselves indulge in intimacy. He ordered champagne, and we spent a while sipping and enjoying each other's company. I took lots of videos and pictures because, why not? And be for real, you would too if it was you. The sex was beyond words. I think it was a mixture of my awe at being intimate with someone I literally idolized and the sheer pleasure of the experience. It felt so surreal yet incredibly satisfying. I won't deny it. It was amazing. However, like any sane human being, as the morning light filtered into the room, a sense of clarity finally washed over me. And it was as if the scales had finally fallen off my eyes, and I could see the reality of the situation more clearly. I woke up the next morning to my very first shock. The celebrity was gone. I was disappointed, yet not entirely surprised. I found a note on the bedside table from him. It expressed how amazing our night was, and provided contact details for further communication on Instagram or via text. I made sure to save the number, but as I did, I finally remembered I was married, and Martin had been trying to reach me frantically. The thought of telling Martin about my night with the celebrity sent a literal wave of anxiety through me. He knew I idolized this celebrity, but he always brushed it off as a harmless crush, never imagining that I would actually meet him, let alone spend the night with him and have sex with him. If he found out, it would shatter his confidence and trust in me, possibly irreparably damaging our relationship because let's face it, what were the odds that I would meet my idol like this and spend a night with him? Impossible. That's why Martin never worried, and that's why I could never tell him. Despite my love for Martin and my desire to spend my life with him, I couldn't deny the thrill and excitement of my one-night stand with the celebrity. But revealing the truth to Martin was out of the question. I couldn't bear to hurt him like that. Why? Because to face the truth, did I love Martin? Yes, I did very much. But did I enjoy my night with the celebrity? Yes, I did very much. Did I go home and message the celebrity? Fuck yes, I did. It was a selfish desire to have my cake and eat it too. I just couldn't resist the temptation and excitement. Before heading home, I texted Martin, assuring him that I was fine and that I had just gotten blackout drunk. I even said I was relieved that nothing bad had happened to me, like getting robbed, and Martin was understandably worried. During the journey back, I couldn't shake off the regret of not having a best friend to cover for me. If I had someone close, I could have easily used them as an excuse to stay out overnight, telling Martin that I had spent the night at my friend's place or something similar. However, since I had gone to the concert alone, I had to resort to the blackout drunk excuse with Martin. I arrived home, and as expected, Martin was visibly worried about me. I reassured him that I was fine, and he seemed relieved, or at least I thought so at the time. Looking back, I should have sensed his suspicion, but I was so relieved that he believed my blackout drunk story that I didn't pay attention to his expression or any potential loopholes in my story. Martin told me that he didn't even go to work because he was so worried about me. He then sweetly made breakfast for me, and I dove in eagerly since I was really hungry after the night's events. As we sat at the table, Martin casually asked if I had any videos or pictures from the concert on my phone. In my eagerness to prove myself and alleviate any doubts he might have had, I impulsively whipped out my phone and handed it to him to check. It was only after I had given him my phone that I remembered the photos and videos of me and the celebrity in our hotel room. I know what you're thinking, stupid me, right? Yeah, I thought so too. My reflexes kicked in at this point, and I tried to grab my phone back from Martin, but his grip was surprisingly strong. I couldn't snatch it out of his hand without making myself seem even more suspicious. Panic started to set in, and I realized the potential consequences of Martin discovering those incriminating photos and videos. At that moment, I realized I had to do something before Martin saw the photos and videos on my phone. But I couldn't just grab my phone back without looking suspicious. So in a desperate move, I started crying. Tears started streaming down my face. I hoped that by showing how upset I was, Martin might not delve too deep into my phone and find out about my night with the celebrity. But I think, as you've already guessed, that didn't work. Martin didn't even seem to notice my tears. He was fixated on my phone, scrolling through it silently for what felt like ages before handing it back to me with a blank look. I started panicking, of course, and started explaining, trying to convince him that nothing serious had happened, that I had just hung out with the celebrity for a bit. But the more I tried to justify myself, the more Martin's expression turned from confusion to anger and sadness. He muttered something about how he should have seen this coming, how he should have known I would do something like that. Then, without saying another word, he left the house, saying he needed some time away from me. I've sent him multiple texts, but I don't want it to seem like I'm bothering him. I just want him to come home. It's been some hours since he left, and the house feels so empty. I don't want to call up my family or his family or even his friends to help me call and talk to him, because I will definitely get blamed for this. I know I'm at fault, but I'm willing to do whatever to make it up to him, so any advice from you guys would be welcome. Update. Hey everyone on Reddit, it's been a while since I've been active here, almost a month I think, and a lot has happened in that time. I took a step back from the app because of the challenges in my marriage and the backlash I faced here on Reddit. I received many DMs criticizing me, calling me names, and blaming me for what happened. A lot of people called me irresponsible, reckless, and even callous. People told me to brace myself for a divorce, saying they wouldn't forgive me if they were in my husband's shoes. The messages were tough to read, and I felt the weight of my actions. But amidst the negativity, there were also some constructive suggestions and solutions that I took to heart. So thank you to those who offered support and guidance. Many of you asked for an update on the situation, so here it is. So first of all, my husband and I are getting a divorce. I'm guessing a lot of you anticipated that too. Yeah, my husband didn't come home for about a day, and I kept panicking, to be honest. I was scared that he might be out there cheating on me or something, and I didn't want that. I had to call up my parents to help call and talk to him because I knew that my parents and family were the only ones that would actually have my back. If I had called up my husband's parents or his friends, they would have blamed me for everything and would have probably told him to divorce me, so I had to call my parents up. My parents were, of course, very angry at what I had done and said I was pretty stupid. My parents came over and we had a long and emotional conversation. They were understandably angry and disappointed with what I had done. They didn't hold back in expressing their feelings, telling me that I had made a grave mistake and acted recklessly. We talked about how things had escalated to this point, from my loneliness to the decision to meet the celebrity and the aftermath of hiding it from Martin. My parents emphasized the importance of honesty and trust in a relationship, pointing out that my actions had severely damaged both. Despite their anger, my parents also offered me their support during this challenging time. They assured me that they would stand by me regardless of the outcome. They also made it clear that they couldn't condone what I had done, but that they would help me reach out to my husband and see if he could be coaxed or convinced, since it was a one-time thing. My parents called Martin to talk things through, hoping for a glimmer of reconciliation. But as I'm sure you guessed, it didn't go well. Martin had apparently spent the day reflecting on everything, and his conclusion was clear. He couldn't move past what had happened. During the call, Martin didn't hold back. He expressed deep regret for buying me those concert tickets. He said he had always felt unappreciated for his efforts. He accused me of being ungrateful and of throwing away everything we had for a fleeting moment with a celebrity. His words hit very hard. He said there was no way he could forgive me for what I did and that he wanted a divorce. I felt like my world was crumbling around me. Panic started setting in, and I started crying. To make matters worse, he called me a hypocrite and dismissed my tears as crocodile tears. I was devastated. It was as if Martin had checked out of our marriage emotionally. Previously, Martin never wanted to see or hear me cry, and he would always try his best to please me and make sure I smile, but now he was calling me a hypocrite. Martin's reaction was so harsh, quick, and decisive. He didn't even think about it for long, and not only did he express his desire for a divorce, but he also wanted me out of the house by the end of the day. He made it clear that he didn't even want to see me when he returned home. The car he had bought for me was now off limits. As if that wasn't enough, Martin dropped a bombshell. He had taken it upon himself to reach out to the celebrity I had spent the night with. He sent proof of our marriage, and unsurprisingly, the celebrity replied. The response was an apology, confirming that I never mentioned my marital status during our encounter. So yeah, Martin destroyed that opportunity for me. Goodbye my dreams of becoming the next Kim Kardashian. With no other options available, I packed my belongings with the help of my parents and moved back into their cramped house. It was a temporary solution, they said, as they couldn't accommodate me for more than a few weeks. The house was already crowded with my brother, his wife, and their kids living there, and me there would make the space even tighter. Returning to such a crowded environment added to the weight of the situation. It felt like a step back in many ways, a stark reminder of how my actions had led to not just the end of my marriage, but also disrupted my living arrangements. It was in that moment I started realizing how truly fucked I was. I had to come up with something quick, or I would be homeless in a few weeks. Martin wasted no time in emptying our joint account after we separated, leaving me with absolutely nothing. And to make matters worse, he didn't keep our issues private. He went ahead and told all his friends and family about my mistake, and suddenly my phone was blowing up with calls and messages from everyone, including people I didn't even know. I had to mute my phone because I couldn't handle the constant blame and insults coming my way. What was I supposed to do? Admit to everyone that I messed up? Like, yes, indeed, I did cheat on Martin. It felt like the whole world was judging me, and it was just too much to bear. Now I'm just waiting for the divorce papers to come through. It's been a tough journey, and I'll keep you updated on how things progress. Update. Hello again, Reddit. It's been a while, and a few things have happened since my last update. I've received a lot of hate mail, which I understand I deserve, but it's been overwhelming, so I've decided this will be my last update. I'll probably delete my account after this. The divorce papers finally arrived, and they weren't in my favor. I tried to fight it, but my infidelity was a significant issue, especially in the state I live in. I realized I had lost the battle before it even started. Adding to the disappointment, I discovered that the house we lived in was never in my or Martin's name. It was still under his parents' ownership. Despite living there and considering it our home, legally, I couldn't claim any rights to it in court. It was a shocking revelation. With the evidence of my cheating and no ownership of the house, I couldn't secure alimony or any financial support. We didn't have children, so there was no child support either. It's been a tough realization, but I'll have to accept the consequences of my actions and move forward. After my parents asked me to leave their place a few weeks back, I've been couch surfing, essentially homeless. It's been a humbling and challenging experience, to say the least. I'm currently working a minimum wage job, trying to make ends meet while actively searching for a better opportunity. The job market isn't easy, especially given my situation, but I'm determined to keep pushing forward. Life isn't great right now, and it feels like everything has been turned upside down. My actions have led me here, and I have to face the consequences every day. However, amidst the difficulties, I try to hold on to hope that things might get better someday. To everyone who has listened and offered support along the way, thank you. Your encouragement means a lot during these tough times. I'm still navigating through this rough patch, but I'm taking it one day at a time, hoping for brighter days ahead.
My husband dumped me on Christmas because he didn't want me to wear my revealing outfit. It's sometimes really funny how some men like to control what their women wear while they would look and turn with the woman who is wearing skimpy or revealing outfits at the mall. I once asked my husband why he doesn't like me to wear revealing outfits, but when we see girls or other women at the mall, he looks at them with admiration. How fair is that? Men sometimes think just because we are married to them, we have to be submissive with everything. They want to change to be, yes sir, okay sir kind of women. Forgetting that they actually found us wearing these revealing outfits and fell in love with us with those outfits. Now that we are married, I have to wear like a granny. I have to wear something that I do not like and not comfortable with, just because I respect my husband and I'm submissive to him. It's really surprising and shocking how my husband, or must I say my ex-husband, decided to just dump me and divorce me just because I was wearing a revealing outfit on a Christmas day. My husband was controlling, but I had never thought we would actually find ourselves in a situation where I get dumped just because my husband was not comfortable with me wearing something that makes me feel comfortable. Do you think it was really fair for him to dump me because of a lousy revealing outfit? I, Mina, was tired of my controlling husband. He dictated everything in our relationship, from the way I dressed to the friends I could have. I knew that if I wanted to break free, I needed to do something drastic. As much as I loved him so much, but the toxicity in our marriage was too much. One had to do something about it. I didn't want to break up with my husband, but I wanted him to change his controlling behavior and be the man I fell in love with for once. Our relationship had started off with love and promise, but as time went on, Benjamin's controlling nature began to emerge. Benjamin, my husband or my ex-husband, male 37, and I, female 32, met at the mall in Philadelphia. I was going with my friends. Well, that day my friends and I had decided to just go out to get some fresh air. Since it was a very hot day, we were wearing short outfits that revealed our flawless skin. So when we went to have our lunch at some restaurant, name withheld for personal reasons, Benjamin came in with his friends also. My eyes got drawn to him. The way he was laughing somehow got to me without him even approaching me. When I looked at him, I saw my dream guy, the kind of guy that I had wanted to spend my lifetime with. He was so perfect. His perfect body and cleanliness took the girls' attention. Little did I know that God had his own plans. I would sometimes think of the verse in the Bible that says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you." I forgot how it continues, but God really did have a plan for me, a plan to make me prosper. Because that day I kept staring at Benjamin, until he also looked where I was. I think he sensed that someone was staring at him. We had a staring contest that lasted about 2 minutes, because I was brought back to reality by my friends poking me, saying I had been staring at the guy for too long and they had been calling me. Well, I didn't hear them because my attention was on the handsomeness that I had seen at the restaurant. I actually developed a love crush on a stranger, imagine. So as my friends and I were still sitting at the restaurant waiting for our order, one of the strangers, Benjamin's friend, came to our table. He greeted us and told me that his friend had been staring at me and he would like to get my number. At first, I was a bit hesitant, but I eventually gave him my number, which came as a curse in disguise. My heart was full of joy because I stood a chance to communicate with the handsome stranger, not knowing that I was actually digging my own graveyard. Days passed and the handsome Ben, I called him that, texted me and asked to take me out. Yes, I was happy, but he wasn't as romantic as I thought he would be. His personality didn't match his appearance. It was totally different. But nonetheless, I fell in love with him. I also don't know how, but I did. And I somehow regretted it after he had shown me his very true colors, few months after we got married. I was a vibrant and free-spirited soul, while Ben was rigid and domineering. I think me being free-spirited came to Benjamin as somehow a threat. I don't how, but the way he was acting made me think that maybe he had some insecurity tendencies. I loved to express myself through fashion and enjoyed experimenting with different styles. Even though my controlling husband, Ben, had always struggled with my sense of self-expression, especially when it came to my choice of clothing. I had never thought or seen myself as a person who would actually be submissive to a man and somehow let a man change the way I am and the way I wear. I love revealing clothes. They make me feel comfortable and more of myself. But my husband wanted me to change and be what he wants. For what? Anyway, Benjamin and I started dating after I think 6 or 7 months of being friends. I won't lie and say I was not enjoying his company because I was. He was a very smart person, funny yet reserved. He had big dreams for his uprising real estate company. Our future goals and plans collided, you know. We had big dreams for us and our future. I loved how supportive he was towards my dreams and our relationship. About 4 or 5 months later, he proposed, and for obvious reasons, I said yes. Benjamin was so sweet and humble. Yes, he would show me his insecure side, but it was not extreme as it became after we got married. It was like he was somehow obsessed with me and how or what I wear. I didn't know what his problem was because, he found me wearing this way. I didn't understand why he would just want me or expect me to change just to please him and his image. Benjamin started being very controlling and manipulative to a point that I somehow find it scary because I didn't understand where he had gotten his behavior. I would sometimes think it was work stress or pressure, but no, it wasn't anything like that. His behavior continued up to a point that he wouldn't even try and hide it even if we were in public. What surprised me a lot was the fact that he was busy staring at the girls who were wearing short and revealing outfits. He would even zone out staring at them, and I wouldn't say anything about that. But to me, and he would complain, telling me that my clothes were for body sellers who didn't love themselves. He dictated everything in our relationship, from the way I dressed to the friends I could have. I knew that if I wanted to break free, I needed to do something drastic. So during winter holidays, we would have our families coming over either during Thanksgiving or Christmas, one of the holidays. That time we had decided or planned to host a Christmas Day lunch since the previous year we were hosting for Thanksgiving. My husband, or must I say my ex-husband, was very happy that we would be hosting Christmas Day lunch. He loved Christmas days, plus he was born on the 25th of December on a Christmas Day, meaning we would be celebrating his birthday and Christmas Day. Christmas was just around the corner, and I had planned to wear a revealing outfit to the Christmas lunch. It wasn't too revealing. It just showed my boobs and thighs. It was a red dress that clung to my curves and showed off my legs. I knew it was revealing, but I also knew it would make a statement. It was the dress I saw at the mall and I fell in love with it, plus it was red, so I decided to rock it on Christmas Day. I was excited about the lunch. I would get to spend time with both my family and Ben's family, plus celebrating his birthday, which would be the first time celebrating his birthday in our house. Little did I know that my choice of attire would lead to a life-changing event. I couldn't believe it, As the day of Christmas and Benjamin's birthday approached, I carefully picked out my beautiful yet slightly revealing dress that made me feel glamorous. I wanted to surprise my husband on his big day and the day to spend with family. I wanted to be beautiful for him. I had hoped that he would love my dress and compliment me since it was long yet revealing a little. Everyone complimented me on my dress. My husband, on the other hand, just grew more and more upset. I was excited to show off my confidence and enjoy Christmas Day and my hubby's birthday with our loved ones. I believed that Christmas was the perfect occasion to express myself and showcase my unique style. However, when Benjamin saw my outfit, he became furious and insisted that I change into something more conservative. He actually confronted me and demanded that I change my outfit or not attend the Christmas gathering at all. Enraged by my choice of attire, Ben berated me, criticizing me for deciding to wear something revealing in front of our families and friends. He claimed it was inappropriate and disrespectful to him as my husband. I was taken aback by his sudden outburst, tried to reason with him, explaining that I should have the freedom to express myself and feel comfortable in my own skin. Feeling torn between my desire to express myself and my commitment to my marriage, I reluctantly agreed to change my outfit. But deep down, I couldn't shake off the feeling that my husband's controlling behavior was becoming suffocating. He literally humiliated me in front of our families and his friends. I was so hurt by the way he handled everything. He should have asked to speak to me aside, not to just burst and talk to me like I was a non-living factor. I was so disappointed in him. I didn't even know what his issue was because my dress was not extremely revealing. I went to the bedroom to change, which took much time to find a dress that would make Benjamin happy. So I decided on wearing a more modest dress, but my heart wasn't in it. I couldn't help but feel resentful towards Ben for stifling my individuality. As the day progressed, I noticed how confident and empowered the family's sisters and cousins looked during the celebration, embracing their unique styles. I just couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. As the day went on, the celebration was finished and people had started leaving. I made a decision that would change my life forever. I took off my conservative dress, revealing the outfit I had originally chosen. With newfound courage, I walked up to Ben and expressed my desire to be true to myself, even if it meant facing the consequences. Feeling trapped and suffocated by his controlling nature, I mustered up the courage to stand up for myself. I was tired of Benjamin's bullying and controlling tendencies. I firmly expressed that I should have the freedom to wear what made me feel comfortable and confident. I told him, well, more like reminding him that he had found me wearing revealing outfits, and he fell in love with me while I was wearing those revealing outfits, and he didn't have a problem with that up until we got married. I asked him if he would want to start changing me when we were married, and did not start when we were still in the dating phase. To my surprise, Ben's reaction was not what I had expected. Instead of understanding my perspective, he stormed out of the house, leaving me feeling both liberated and heartbroken. The following days were pretty tough for me as I navigated the aftermath of my decision. The weight of my broken marriage was heavy on my shoulders, but deep down, I knew I had made the right choice. I knew that when Ben came back, I would have lost him. I know he loved being respected as the man of the house, and the fact that I had said all that in front of the family that was remaining. He surely felt disrespected and humiliated by me. It was just a matter of time till he told me what I had been expecting to hear. Later on, he came back from wherever he was coming from. When he came back at midnight, I had started to get worried about him because he wasn't the type of man that would go to clubs until midnight. Yes, he would go out with his friends for drinks, but he had never come back at midnight. So when he came back, he told me that we needed to talk about my behavior and the disrespect that I had shown in front of his family and mine. You know when they say, a drunk man never tells no lie because when they are drunk, they become their true self. Take that phrase seriously because as much as I didn't want to listen to Ben speaking to me while drunk, I had to. But Ben's controlling tendencies had reached the breaking point. He coldly declared that he could no longer be with someone who didn't adhere to his strict rules and expectations. On Christmas Day, when love and togetherness should have prevailed, he callously dumped me, leaving me heartbroken and alone. So he started telling me how much he loved me and how much he held me in high regards. But I had disappointed him. He continued telling me that even if he loved me, he wouldn't tolerate disrespect and humiliation from a woman. He kept blabbing up until he actually released the lump that he had been holding that made him speak in riddles for too long. He told me that he cannot be with me anymore. He believed that I would change my attitude and behavior and somehow become a wife to him. But instead, I got worse than ever. He furthered by saying that he cannot be with the woman who doesn't value and respects herself and her body. I just couldn't believe that he was actually dumping me for being myself and for the fact that I loved wearing revealing dresses. That day, he decided to go and sleep in a guest room, and I was left shuttered and heartbroken. As I sat on the couch in our bedroom, gazing out of the window, the twinkling lights and festive decorations only served to magnify my sense of sadness and disappointment. I couldn't understand how a relationship that had once held so much promise had crumbled under the weight of control and manipulation. I mean, I loved Ben so much, but why wouldn't he start looking at himself first, his controlling tendencies and wanting to choose everything for me as an issue? Then he would come back to me and dump me once he had recognized his own skeletons. One thing about Benjamin was that no matter how drunk he would get, he would always remember everything he had said and done the previous night when he was intoxicated. I had prayed that when the alcohol flushes out of his system, it would somehow flush out his memory also and forget about what he had said. But who was I fooling because I woke up late? Since I had been crying the whole night, I found him making breakfast. He was the Benjamin that I had fallen in love with and got married to. So we ate our breakfast in an uncomfortable silence. During our breakfast, he just decided to drop a very huge bomb at me. He told me that he would be moving out and told me how much he was sorry for breaking my heart. But he cannot be with someone like me anymore. His words were like a sword in my heart. They stabbed me deep inside to a point that I didn't even see myself surviving without Ben. Yes, he was controlling and somehow an ass, but I had hoped that we would fight all of this and get help and get through all of the things that we were going through. I had never imagined that my husband would resort to such a drastic measure on Christmas Day. I didn't expect him to just come to such a hasty decision and divorce me. I thought he loved me and held me in high regards, but what he did didn't show that he loved me. I felt used, depressed, and heartbroken. I didn't even know what to do with myself. In the days that followed, I had experienced a mix of emotions. I felt a profound loss, mourning the end of my marriage and the shattered dreams of a happy future. But amidst the pain, I also felt a glimmer of liberation. I realized that I deserved better than a partner who sought to control and suppress me. No matter how much I loved him, he didn't deserve my patience. Besides, love alone is never enough, especially if one is never happy. Over time, I discovered a newfound strength within myself. I had decided to just rebuild my life without the control and toxicity of my ex-husband. I surrounded myself with supportive friends and family who embraced me for who I actually was and encouraged me to be true to myself. With their support, I learned to love and accept myself fully. I had sought therapy to work through the emotional scars left by the controlling relationship, and gradually I regained my sense of self-worth and independence. So I pursued my passions with unwavering determination. I learned that true happiness lies in embracing one's authentic self, even if it means losing someone who couldn't accept me for who I was. I also discovered my own strength and resilience. I learned to embrace my individuality, learning to love and accept myself fully. So as I moved forward, I vowed to never allow anyone to dictate my choices or diminish my self-confidence again. I became an advocate for self-expression and empowerment, using my own experiences to help others break free from toxic dynamics. I know that my story serves as a reminder of the importance of healthy boundaries and mutual respect in relationships. It highlights the devastating impact of control and manipulation, and the courage it takes to walk away from such toxic dynamics. Ultimately, Sarah's journey towards self-discovery and empowerment became the catalyst for a brighter, more authentic future. I do not want any pity or whatsoever. I just want more clarification about what I have gone through. I just want to know if it was the right decision that I had taken or decided upon to not fight Ben when he dumped and divorced me. I mean, we had shared a lot and our love was too good to be true in public, while he was a control freak in our space. And another thing, he couldn't even hide his controlling tendencies in front of our families and friends on Christmas Day. He literally busted on me like I had murdered someone or like I was a naughty child that broke his favorite watch. I want to hear from you. Redditors, what should I have done? Yes, I had hopes that he would eventually change and become the man I had fallen in love with. I thought he would eventually realize that he was the one with the problem and try to change it with me on his side, supporting him as his wife. I had spoken with him a lot about his behavior and begged him to at least talk to a therapist so he would be able to take out whatever that he had and get help. Instead, he would just brush everything off and dismiss my opinion like it was nothing. I still think he took a drastic decision to divorce me because I had done nothing wrong. The only wrong I had done was being myself, wearing something that made him uncomfortable to a point that he couldn't even hide his tendencies from his own friends and family. While I don't think I made a bad decision by not fighting for Ben and our marriage, but I felt like I needed to find myself, and become the person that I had always been, a person who didn't live in a ruled situation whereby I would find myself not being comfortable with being me. I am the person who made rules for myself and never allowed anyone or anything to change that. I lived my life for me without looking for validation from others. But when I fell in love with Ben, all of that changed. I lost myself. I became his puppet, his submissive wife. I followed his rules and did everything the way he wanted to. All because of love and being committed to the relationship, even though it was very much toxic. But I stayed and held on to the hot steel even when it had started to burn my skin. It's not easy being in a relationship whereby you have to compromise yourself just because you want to make your partner happy. It has never worked like that. I know that some would be surprised if I were to say that I still love my ex-husband, and I miss him so much every day. My heart wanted me to fight for our relationship and find a common solution to the problem. But why try to help a person who doesn't need help? It was like he was somehow possessed by a controlling demon, so when it was an active mode of controlling him, he would want to be in control also. Benjamin was like a person who had multiple personality disorder, even though I can't and couldn't confirm it. But the way he was doing things, his manipulative and controlling tendencies seemed like he was pushed by something or someone to do it, to satisfy it. One thing I regret about myself was that I didn't or never gave myself enough time to learn more about Benjamin. I mean, it didn't take us too long to get married, from being friends to being boyfriend and girlfriend, to being husband and wife. All of those stages happened within 1 year, if I am not mistaken. Everything happened too fast, and I was blindly in love to notice anything on our dating stage. So please tell me, what should I really do, or how should I have dealt with the whole situation? Because it was not healthy, not to me only, but to himself also and his future partner. Please advise me.